So, as promised, Nosferatu. On account of it being the end of the year, I'm trying to keep this one short, and I actually mean it this time, as I do have a whole tier list to make before next week ends, so there are actual stakes here. And speaking of stakes...
Nosferatu.
Okay, sorry for the shitty transition. But, jokes aside, Nosferatu, I thought, was really good. Now, I say this as someone who really likes this sort of gothic and mythic horror, as well as Egger's previous work, so I think I was primed for this film. However, I can say that I didn't love The Northman, so I was at the very least a little cautiously optimistic about how Eggers would bring this classic vampire tale to screen. Much of it is very similar in plot beats and narrative ideas to the original Dracula novel by Bram Stoker, but almost all names are those which are used in the Nosferatu versioning of the story. That being said, I am most familiar with the novel, so I was rather eager to see how Eggers would bring some of the prose from Stoker's pages to life on screen, especially considering what he was capable of doing with light and shadow with Jarin Blaschke on The Northman and The Lighthouse. And they did not disappoint. I was enthralled from moment one. Every setting was lit and shot so well, and the atmosphere was just top-notch. Visuals, framing and blocking, lighting, use of shadows, costuming and makeup, all of it looked superb. And to enhance all of this and draw me in even further, the sound design and score were fantastic as well. The way Orlok was presented auditorially was amazing, and it only added to this feeling that he was otherworldly, animalistic, and in some ways beyond everything else we're seeing on screen. To me, most of my personal highlights of the film are in the quieter moments. These are the more dreadful or uneasy scenes. Nosferatu has this natural rhythm allowed to it by its vampire subject with day and night, and this works in its favor. The pace feels brisk, things keep moving, you're always waiting for what's going to happen on the next night, but also dreading it. You're hoping our protagonist can make some advancements during the light of day. But far and away my favorite portion of the film is everything with Thomas's journey and time in Transylvania and the Count's castle. You get so many stunning shots like the crossroads where he's taken by Coach. I could stare at that for hours, and honestly, it reminded me of Bloodborne. Further, the editing in all of these sequences serves the story so well. It's disorienting and eerie, and it puts the viewer in a frame of mind much like Thomas's, where you're not entirely sure what's real and what isn't, what's to be feared and what's to be discarded as paranoia. And here is where Orlok feels the most disturbing, which is in no small part thanks to Skarsgård's performance. He is amazing in this. Beyond this, I do feel the second half of the film was somewhat weaker. Once Orlok's voyage on the Not Demeter is finished, I think Nosferatu loses some degree of momentum. There are still a ton of highlights in this part of the movie, like standout shots and disturbing sequences, but I feel it didn't hit quite as perfectly as the first half did for me. Willem Dafoe and Lily Rose Depp and Aaron Taylor Johnson all get to have really great scenes too, and deserve lots of praise for their performances, but it wasn't quite as visceral for me as the first half of the film. Eggers leans more into classic vampirism themes of passion and sexuality than he does the horror of vampires in this half, and he does this incredibly well. Ellen's portion of the story is also really fascinating to me, and it's an interesting twist on the classical method of defeating a vampire or Nosferatu, especially with her personal connection to it. It creates interesting character drama and conflict. However, for me personally, I was hoping for maybe just another scene or two of something more in the vein of straight horror. It's a personal preference of mine, though I suspect it's one others may have as well. Again, what is done exceedingly well. It just wasn't something that aligned with my specific tastes and expectations, which were mainly oriented around the original Dracula novel. So all in all, I thought Nosferatu was a fantastic film. It makes for some excellent Christmas counter-programming and has a laundry list of things to appreciate in it. I recommend it strongly and give it 4 out of 5 stars, and until next time.